Today on My RC Life, I show you how to install the Wide-Maxx Kit and the wide metal axle shafts to go along with it. What's going on, everybody? Traxxas Mike from My RC Life coming at you today from the RC room. I told you 2021 was going to be a year of a lot of changes, and another awesome change is going to be, bam, the Wide-Maxx Kit. And not only are we going to be putting a Wide-Maxx Kit onto our Traxxas Maxx, we got the extra long steel axle shafts as well. Now, if you're going to be putting the steel axle shafts on with the Wide-Maxx Kit, you've got to make sure you get the long one of these. They sell a short version to go on a stock with Max, and then this longer version is going to go on a wider Max that has this kit installed in it. So today, me and you are going to go over how to install the Wide-Maxx Kit and the wide axles onto the 10 scale Traxxas Maxx. Let's go. Go ahead and get our tires off. I know a lot of people will just run their stock plastic axle shafts. Even when you put the Wide-Maxx Kit on, you can run your stock plastic axle shafts because they extend in and out. But the reason why I'm changing mine is because this is a 6S truck now. It ain't a stock 4S system. And every time I run it on 6S and I really get after it hard, I end up blowing an axle shaft. So I figured, why not just go to the metal ones? Why I'm going with the Wide-Maxx Kit. Just do it all at once. Now this kit comes with all 4 new lower and upper A-arms, new shock springs for just the rear, and then new extended tie rods for the front for your steering, because it's going to be wider, so your stock ones are going to be too short. They need to be longer tie rods. We're going to start with the back. We need to take off this rear bumper, and there is a bolt here and here, those 2 right there, that we need to take out. Like I always say, I like these pit trays to separate bolts. And keep an eye on your lengths and sizes and types of bolts as you take them out too. No, okay, good example. 2 very different lengths. Super long one came out of here, and then the shorter one came out of here. Just something you need to remember. And that's another good thing about taking video. And then I'm not sure if we have to take these 2 here out yet or not. I think you can leave that bolted together because that'll leave the wheelie bar and the bumper together. But I know we have to flip it over and take these 4 here out. These should all be the same type and length. Yes, I'm just gonna work this thing like that. All right. Now, should be able to pull on it. Yeah, just like that. See, we didn't need to take those 2 out because that keeps everything together. Keep it simple, stupid, right? Now, as we'll take these 2 bolts out for our shocks. 2mm. Big long button heads. And we got 1 more bolt here. 2.5mm. Back to the 2.5. Now we got a little metal plate here and it may be a little rusty and crusty. You might have to pry it out with a screwdriver. Okay, got that out. And we got these top A-arm pins here, bolts. Pull both of these. Okay, got those out. If I grab vice grips, pull on these, they may be rusty, but just grab them, pull them on out. Pop your shocks out there. And then you got your dry shafts will slide out like this. I'm just going to keep the right on the right and the left over here on the left. Okay, the next step is we're going to have to take off the other half of our dry shafts there. 2 millimeter. If you rotate the head of the bolt you're getting at towards the bottom, that's the best way to get at it. Alright, got that one out. That should pull right off. Get to the next one. Okay, we got those apart. Now, next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to take the other bolt out of our bottom of each shock. Now these ones are shorter than the ones that go on the top. The ones that go on the top are really long ones. Remember that. Pry back and forth, get that baby to come out. I think we need these Hexs. Get your screwdriver back behind there. Pop those off. Don't forget to get your pin. Same thing on this one. Then we're going to need to unbolt the A-arms from this outer hub here. If you get confused on which side these A-arms go at, they'll be marked right here. Like this one says right front, left rear. Or left front, right rear. So yeah, they go left front or right rear, the A-arms. Kind of odd. 2.5 millimeter. The bottom pin is a little bit longer than the top one. Okay, now we're going to pop our old axle shaft out of there. Okay, make sure you don't lose your bearing. Get that off from your dry shaft if it sticks on like mine did. Same thing on this side. Looks like we lost a seal on one of our bearings there. Pop it back in, or maybe if you got new ones, it's a good time to replace them. Definitely a good time to oil them all up. If your seal does pop off, you just use a pick or a flathead screwdriver, jam it back down in there. Okay, now I've unboxed the Wide-Maxx Kit. You know, you got your A-arms in there, lowers and uppers, and your springs. And I see it does come with extended outer half shafts. And it tells you, gives just a little instruction sheet on how to put this all together. And it's kind of a pain in the butt because you have to actually remove this U-joint with those tiny, tiny little C-clips. Pop them all out. And slide your shaft end onto the axle. Yeah, they send you 4 more of these, and then 8 of those. See how tiny those are? And then these are just obviously longer than the stock counterparts. Example. See how much longer this one is than this one? So yeah, they want you to take the little C-clips off of there, pop one off, slide it out, and you put this one back on in place of that. Pain in the butt. We will not be using those. Now I was worried about these bearings, and I popped this seal out, and I got some white lithium grease in there and got them rotating real good because I didn't have new bearings with it. But with the new Wide-Maxx axle kit, it comes with a brand new set of inner and outer bearings for the Maxx. One reason being because your outer shaft size is a lot different. I think your inner shaft size is probably different as well. They're bigger and beefier, so you need a different sized bearing because the dimensions are different. So yeah, that's cool. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pop out our bearings. If you're not doing the Wide-Maxx axles and you're just using the stock plastic ones, you won't have to do this. We're going to go ahead and pop the rest of these out here. Okay, so we got the outers and inners out. That's why this kit is so expensive. It's $100, and I thought, man, that's quite pricey. Well, now it makes more sense. We're going to put one outer in there and one inner in here. They're almost the same size as X-Maxx bearings, I think. One outer, or one inner in there. One outer in here. They should sit nice and flush. Okay, so that part's done. Now, it don't matter what shaft you grab. They're all for the same length. It ain't like these two have to be for the rear and these two have to be for the front. It don't matter. So we're going to pull out 2 of these and 2 of these. Wow, these things are so beefy. I'm going to line this up so the hole's pointing straight up and down like that. These go one way for the pin to go through because one side's threaded and the other side is just a through hole. I'll put the threaded side down so I can access it. Take our pin. Now it does have a little Loctite on it. If you're comfortable with that, you can just use that, or you can add a little more of your own, whatever. Okay, and we're just gonna put the pin in. Okay, same thing on the other side. Okay, those are installed. I think the next thing we're going to do is put our bigger shock springs on. 2mm. Pull this bottom screw, or this bottom bolt off the shock. Compress down like this, grabbing this plastic thing, pulling this down, but you want to hold this up. Just like that. And then pop that off. Pull your spring off. And once we get that spring on there, remember to line that thing up with your slot and your end cap there. So pull down on our spring, shove that through, and then this slides up like that so you can get your bolt in there. Let go of the spring and simply put your bolt back in. There, that's done. Do it to the other side. Okay, shocks are done. Next, I'm going to go around and grab 2 of these. It don't matter which 2 because these are interchangeable from left to right, from front to rear. And then for back here, you want to read right in here, right front or left rear. So here's our left rear. Now we need a right rear. Left front or right rear. So there is our right rear. The inners take the longer bolt, if you remember. Back to the 2.5. Okay. Now you have to push a little bit as it goes in because they have to make, there's not threads in here and it's going to cut its own new threads as you put the new bolt in. Push. All right. Now I'm going to take these pins that go through the inside of our bottom A-arms and I'm just going to clean them up a bit. Sandpaper, steel wool can also do this. Now you don't want to do it so much that it wears them down. Just clean the rust up. Okay, this pin's going to slide all the way through here. It's going to pop right in there and in there on the other side. Okay, just like that. It's going to be loose and sloppy for now. And then same with this other side. Okay. Then you got this guy here. Now there's these little alignment tabs right there. And that's where you put these small inner holes there. The outer holes hold the pins that you just put in, and then those inner small holes pop in just like that. And you take this bad boy, two and a half millimeter. Next, we're going to take our hubs here that we put our new bearings in. Put the outside one down there. Takes the really long bolt like this. This bolt comes through this side of the hub, this side of the A-arm. Go ahead and tighten it up with the 2.5 millimeter. Do the same thing over here. And it's cutting its own thread, so it might go in kind of hard. Now if you tighten these up really too tight, these won't move freely, and you want them to move freely. Because that one I tightened up too tight and I noticed it pinched it. So if it does that, just back it off just a titch. And now we want to put our wide axle shafts in. We're just going to insert the dog bone end into our new hub there. It ain't going to fit. So what we actually need to do is take these back out. We need to put the axles in before we put the pins in. Okay, so put the axle in, slide it into our hub. You want that to be seated all the way in. Your bolt should just barely stick out. Then stick that back into the dog bone area there. And we can put our pin back through. Now it will fall back out of here That's okay. Just couldn't. These are so long it couldn't flex enough to fit inside the hole. So yeah, we got that in there. So the same for this side. Okay, flex is good. Perfect. Now we need to take our next pin there. Put that back in the dog bone there because that one fell out. Put the pin in. Okay, there we go. Now, the last step is installing our shocks. Now, it does have two different options here for installing. I'm going to go back to the 2mm. Pop the top end of the shock in. Longer bolt. Got that in. Same thing on the other side. All right. The rear is done. All we have left to do now is install the bumper, wheelie bar, and bottom brace thingy here. Get that stuck back in there. You want to make sure this fits into that slot there. Just like that. 2.5mm. All right, everybody. I just noticed that our wheel hubs are not going to fit on here. If you read right on the back here, it says you're going to need TRA 8654 spline wheel nut and TRA 7758 wheel lugs. And those are right here. Here are the Hexs, and here are the lugs, the part that holds the tire on. Okay, so with that being said, I'm not going to be able to install the tires on this today, but we're going to go ahead and get started on the front. Very similar to the rear, we need to pull one bolt out here, 2.5mm. You flip it over, and we got 4 on the bottom. I should be able to do the same thing as you did on the rear. Pop that out, flex that, bam, bumper and lower skid plate comes off all in one. Take the shocks off. Bolt on the bottom. Pop the shocks on out. Back to your 2.5mm. Pop your bolt out down here. Just like on the rear. Pop that guy out. Pull your little plate off. Pull out your bottom pins. Ooh, them ones are really rusty. Pull out these guys. Now, one thing that's going to be different from the front to the rear is you're going to have to unbolt your tie rod ends. Okay, flip it up like this. Undo our axle shafts. Alright. Got those apart. Pop off our plastic Hexs. all the pins. Back to the 2.5 millimeter. We're popping these out here. Same as the back. The bottom ones are longer than the top ones. Pop out our axle shafts. Oh, we are going to have to take these C-hubs apart as well. So we'll pop those apart. And these are both really short ones. Then we can pop our axles out. If you got the wide axle kit, metal axle kit, you will have new bearings. If you do not, you'll have to be reusing your bearings. I have new ones, so I will be going that route. Same thing here. Pop that out. Anytime I run it on 6S and I really start to cut big backflips and stuff, I break shafts. I'm going to grab 2 more of my drive cups and my last 2 dog bone CVDs. Now this is having a little hard time going on because I see that the edge of my shaft is rounded off a little bit. See that right there? So I'm going to just take my little file, or even your Dremel. You can hit it just real quick with a Dremel. There we go. 2 millimeter. Same thing on this side. Right front or left rear. Left front or right rear. Okay. And we got these. Okay, start with our top A-arms. Our long one. Because our shorter one goes in there. Switch back to the 2.5 millimeter. Like I said, that'll be cutting new threads in them holes. So it may go in a little hard if you're using a hand tool. Gotta make sure they're moving nice. Now I have upgraded adjustable turnbuckles. Your stock A-arms have stock plastic unadjustable turnbuckles. Just like these Wide-Maxx ones, they come with unadjustable. They're longer, but they're unadjustable. So I was going to see about extending these out. But yeah, that don't look like an option because I don't think they're going to extend out that far. Yeah, that's a bummer because I'm going to have to get rid of my adjustable tie rods. Anyone who's got a stock Maxx and wants some nice GPM adjustable tie rods, hit me up. For sale for cheap. Back to our 2 millimeter. Pop that out. Pop that right back in. Now there is a taller side and a smaller side. The taller side goes on your rack. Okay, got that one in. Same thing on the other side here. Steer it all the way the other way so it pops out there. Pop that one out. Take the new one. Okay, we got those installed now. Now if you get these mixed up and you don't know which one goes where, they are labeled. There's an R right there. Same with these. Right. And as far as how it goes, like, does it go this way or this way? You just want your letter to be facing up. Same with on this. So the R's are both in the upward position. That's how it goes together, just like that. I want to go ahead and put in my inner new bearing, my outer new bearing. Might as well get it over on the left side one as well. Outer, inner, there we go. With the old plastic axles, you couldn't pull the axle out like that without pulling the C-hub apart. So that's kind of nice. With the new ones, you can. And then we need to get this thing back together. It takes 2 of these shorter pins, one on top, one on bottom. Might as well get our other side together too, right? Shove our axle in there. Okay, got that one in. I'm going to go ahead and stick the axle there in the dog bone. Remember, the top takes the shorter pin. 2.5. Same thing over here. And for the bottom, these are going to be sticking outwards. Put our pin through. Line it up with this hole back in here. Same thing on this one. Pop these in just like that. Just like that. Go ahead, you got your 2 of these style pins left. And they go through on the back side here. You have to jiggle your C-hub around a little bit for them to go in. Okay. Now, we need to put our tie rods in place. You might have to flex this up a little bit to make it easier. Stick that guy through there. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Back to the 2mm. Okay, pop the top in. Top gets the longer bolt. 2mm. In the rear, I went with the outside of these 2 holes, so that's what I'm going to do in the front as well. Okay, we got those installed. Now we just got to put this baby back on. Now, I never did show you the difference. Look at how much wider that is. Got to put on the front bumper. Do that first. There we go. Pop that front bumper in like that. And since we got it flipped over already, we'll start by throwing these 4 pan heads in. Now we'll put our 1 long bolt back in. Alright, now it's together. Now all I gotta do is just wait for the new parts for the Hexs and the wheel nuts to come in the mail. It's going to be a couple days, but for you guys, it's going to happen just like that. Well, I'm supposed to be waiting for parts, but I got looking through my parts, and I think I found something. Anyways, I wanted to show you the comparison between the MT410, which is like one of the widest tent scales on the market, and the Maxx with the Wide-Maxx Kit on it. Pretty comparable. I got looking through my archives of parts, and I found these. And I think these can go on that. So let's see what we can do. What these are is like extenders. They go on, and this is the same size as those axles. I bought these and I never could get them to fit on anything. They were something from Banggood or I don't remember. Okay, now I will switch it back over to the proper ones it's supposed to have on it when I get them in the mail. But I just want to put it together at night. I want to see what it looks like. Maybe drive it tomorrow. And all that holds these pins in is these little O-rings, I guess. I don't really like the thought of that. But we're going to put them on there anyways. Okay, just like so. That's going to make it even wider. It's probably going to be wider than the Techno now. No complaints here. Okay, got that one on. I should have put like a dot of super glue on those pins or something. Try to just hold them in a little bit better. But like I said, I am going to be putting the new ones on when they show up here in a few days. So maybe I don't want to do that. Okay, all four of those babies are on. I did get her together, guys. I'm so glad I got extra parts laying around everywhere. Now that looks epic there, boy. Oh, boy. Look at that bad boy. Time to bring the MT410 back up. Uh-oh. The MT410 has a competitor now. Well, that's pretty sweet, guys. That Traxxas Maxx is going to be a very stable vehicle now. Wow. Crazy. Especially with those extra wheel wideners on there. Now the Techno looks to be 17 3/4 inch wide. The Max looks to be 18 3/4 inch wide. Max has actually got a full inch on the Techno right now. But to be fair, the Techno don't have a wide A-arm kit or wheel extenders. I'm not trying to take anything from the Techno. I'm just saying the Max with some upgrades looks like it is going to be comparable to how this one handles out in the field. All right, guys, I will give you an update of what this looks like when we get the actual Traxxas wheel hexes and lug nuts on. It's going to shrink it up a little bit. It'll probably be about exact same width as a MT410 after that, maybe even a little bit narrower than the MT410, but I will give you an update on that when it's done. But that's it for now. I'm Traxxas Mike from My RC Life, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.